Good morning and welcome. There's an app for that. That's the theme of the entire day and of my talk this morning. What I'm going to do for my talk, when I was assigned doing a keynote for there's an app for that, there's so many things that I could show you and talk about, and a lot you're going to see today, so I didn't want to include any of that. But there were a lot of different ways to approach this, and I decided to do it from a personal point of view. I'm going to show you a little bit about the history of apps and computers from my point of view and from my history. Okay, and that leads us into our PET. The Commodore PET was my first computer. No book, no instructions, no programs. It worked from a tape drive. I walked into a store, I watched a 9-year-old kid click on some things on the keys and something happened on the screen. I said, if he could do it, I can. That's what I had to type in to have it just say hello or goodbye. Just a very short program, but it was done in BASIC and you had to type it in and you could save it to tape. But it got frustrating and no information, no books, there weren't any magazines in those days. So my second computer was this $500 computer. Well, actually, it was an $800 computer with no floppy drives. I got the extension. I got extra memory. And this is what it looked like, except for I had a box to hook up the printer and to give me up to, instead of the 8K, to give me 16K. That was the printer I bought. Actually, that's a capture of the manual, which I still have. Inside the manual was some printing programming that I had to put in to some of the programs I wrote later on, because there was no dial to advance the paper. All the paper had to always be advanced via software. My third computer, when I decided to get floppy drives, well, here was a computer that had 2 floppy drives. It came with programs. It was luggable. You could carry it around. Just an ideal thing. Oh, boy, I couldn't wait. Almost $2,000, and that was it. It weighed 28 pounds. It came with WordStar, Mail Merge, SuperCalc, some BASIC, and it also came with DBase 2. Those were the discs that came with. That's what it looked like up close, 5-inch screen, and just some pieces and parts to show you what it was about. And that's what the screen looked like. And it was a 5-inch screen, don't forget, about 183 characters across. That was the modem, which was an extra, and it was a 300 baud modem. The discs were single-sided, single density, and then they had a single-sided double density upgrade. You had to ship the whole computer to them. It took several weeks. They had everybody that bought an Osborne had to have that done by them. So it took, it got lost. They had to find it and then finally shipped it back to me. In those days, the little gadget to the left of the disc was a notcher, and you could notch the other side and turn the disc over to make it double-sided. And there was a lot of talk in the user group movement in those days, whether that was safe to do for your drive, whether it would work, whether your data was safe. And so a lot of controversy in those days. In the business side of it, most of the businesses used mainframes. They either owned their own or they rented space on one somewheres. This was an IBM 360, huge computer, big reel-to-reel tapes, cards, 8-inch floppy disks, and so on. And they had this huge room with super cold, super air-conditioned, all the wiring underneath the floor. And then connected to those were dumb terminals. It looked like this. Nothing in them. They only connected to that mainframe. usually by wiring. If it was inside the building, was outside of the building, then companies rented telephone lines to do the connecting and paid for time connected via telephone. At around the same time, Apple came out with their computers, first the Apple II, then the Lisa, then the first Mac. Then came the IBM PC. My first PC was an AT&T PC 6300. It came with a floppy disk, no hard drive, and I ended up putting in a 40 megabyte hard drive. And at that time I said, 40 megabytes, I'll never fill that up. I'll never have to buy another floppy in my life. Well, that didn't last very long. Some of the programs or apps in those days that ran on the IBM machines were something like Symphony or 123. And in those days, you could buy computers somewhere from about $1,800 to about $4,000. Your IBM PCs were generally in the $3,000, $3,500 range just for a basic PC. The apps or the programs to run on those computers were expensive. You didn't have cheap versions of any of them. Lotus 123, a spreadsheet, was $400. DBase 2 was almost $500. If you look down at WordStar, was $269, but SpellStar, to do the spell checking or to do the mail checking, each one of those was $150. And then if you want to do some indexing, that was another $150. All of a sudden, they got very expensive. That was in 1983. In 87, programs still hadn't come down. They were very expensive. There were a lot of lawsuits on the look and feel. If you wanted to create a program that was a spreadsheet, did it have the look and feel of Lotus 123? If it did, Lotus was suing you. And so there weren't a lot of programs that did the same things. Multiplan was one, it was 119. That was also another spreadsheet. But for the most part, you lived with the main programs and they were expensive. Just to show you, I'm just going to go through these quickly to show you all the DOS versions when they were, Windows and when they were, the Apple operating system when they were, iOS when it was. These will all be available in the all the slides will be available, so you'll be able to look at these more closely. The Android versions. This is a partial list of the distros or the distributions of Linux. This is a full list, a huge list of them. Maybe not even all of them. One of the other things that AT&T was coming out with, as I said, with an IBM clone. There were other clones, but the data that was saved on disks from your different apps, even if you had the same app on an IBM, and you had a spreadsheet on your Osborne, they weren't interchangeable. Nothing, it wouldn't even read the disk, no less the data. Well, one company did come out, called Uniform, did come out with a program that you could imitate and use some of your disks from your Osborne on your new PC by faking it out, and it did it with this software. So you could tell it, okay, this drive's now an Osborne, and then put in the disk, it'll read the data, then save it, and then you'll to the other disk, and you could then go ahead and use it. Okay, let's talk about apps. Let's talk about apps. Here's from iOS, from Apple. These are some of the apps that are available. Let's go back here a moment. You'll notice that some say get, some have prices. Or do any of these have prices? No, these all seem to be free. I'm going to talk about prices in just a bit. Here I'm checking for my speed of my broadband. At home it was 230 that day. On different ways using Wi-Fi, trying it in the McDonald's and so on. You'll see different speeds that I've found using a different program depending upon where you are. So you want to check your speed if you're downloading apps, if you're running apps in the cloud, if you're doing some online, a lot of online things. You might want to make sure that you're using a Wi-Fi that's got the speed that you want. And to put it all in perspective, remember I had a 300 baud modem in my Osborne. Well, to download a 1 gigabyte file to that Osborne, of course I had no way to store it, but just hypothetically, a 300 baud modem, that would have taken 323 plus days back in 1962. 76, you started using 1200 baud modems. That was about 80 days. 94, you had 28.8 modems. A gigabyte file would be 3.4 days. And in 1998, right around the turn of the century, we were all using 56K modems, and that was about 42 hours for a gigabyte file. We didn't have equipment to save those kind of files, but what I'm trying to do is just show you the difference. Now, in an internet broadband of today, at 20 megabits, it's 7 minutes and 9 seconds for that same file, and at 200 megabits, it's 42 seconds. So you're going from 323 days to 42 seconds. We've improved the bandwidth and the download speed. For a while, we were using 5 1/4 inch floppies, and then we went to 3.5 inch floppies. Pretty much now, floppies are gone. I've got a USB floppy I can plug in, a 3.5 inch floppy, but not a 5 1/4. I've got a bunch of 5 1/4 inch data disks that I can't look at because I don't have anything that's got a 5 1/4 inch drive. A lot of programs now, we've gone full cycle. We're now back. The cloud is what the IBM mainframe or the big mainframes were, IBM or otherwise. There were other brands too. But you had Excel online. The Microsoft Office products are now online. You can go out and run them using your computer as a dumb terminal. But it's not dumb because you can then save your data files to your hard drive, which is what you couldn't do using the dumb terminals of the olden days. But now, so you got a combination. So you got Excel, you got any of the Office products, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Notes, Sway, Mail. They're all online, and from some programs they're free or they're limited in what you can do for free. But if you have Office 365, you can use them online or on your computer. Then you have this is PowerPoint again and Excel, just to show you online. They look just like they do in the programs on your computer. Then we go to Google Docs. Google has a free spreadsheet online, has a free document or Word document online, and they also have a PowerPoint type presenter program free online. Okay, let's switch over to my iPad now. Notice I've circled all the different pages of apps that I have on my iPad. These are all apps. You got one page showing there, but I can move those little dots, go from one page to the other. I've got 11 pages of apps on my iPad. And you can also take apps and bundle them like in a folder on your iPad or iPhone as well. On my iPad, I have 117 applications. I've had more. So if you think I got a lot now, I had a lot more. I took a lot of them off because I'm trying to keep them fairly matched up with my iPhone, and my iPhone ran out of room. I'm going to show you that in just a moment. Okay, here's my iPhone. You can see I got about the same number, 11 pages. There's fewer on the screen, but I've got 120 applications on my phone. 120 apps. Okay, this is, if we're looking at some apps, these are some that are available. You'll see some have prices, and let's go here. By category, top charts. If it has a price, you got to pay for it. But notice the price. They're not $399. They're $7. They're $3. They're $2. They're $1. Or if it says get, they're free. If it says open, that means I've already got them. I've already downloaded it to my iPad or iPhone. And notice here you've got all and not on this iPad. I can just look at the ones that aren't on my iPad that I've already downloaded, that I've purchased. But this I'm showing all. You'll see the little cloud with the down arrow. That means at one time I had purchased it, either got it free, purchased it for $0, or paid for it, but I'm not using it right now. It's not on my iPad, but I can download it again without having to pay for it again. And if the ones say open, that means it's ready for me to use. It's on my iPad. And again, this is just showing all the ones that are not on my iPad that I've purchased, either paid for or I've looked at. And there's there's iPad apps and iPhone apps. The iPhone apps will work on an iPad. They just look a little bit different. They weren't geared for the iPad screen. They were designed for the iPhone. Again, these are some of the categories you can have. Now, if you have an Android tablet or phone, you've got Google Play, which is their application store. And again, you can see that many of them are free. Here's an example of one. It's called Mahjong Classic. It's a game. You can look to see a screen capture. As you scroll down, you see some reviews of it. You'll see some additional information about it, when it was last updated, in some current version, and some more information. Then you'll find, now this is going back to my iPad. When you look at things get updated on a regular basis, and sometimes it tells you it needs to do it. Some of it will automatically be updated if you have your settings set that way. But you'll see that just in the last few days of December, there were several updates to various apps. You want to make sure that you're updating your apps. Number one, because they fix bugs, they do additional items, and so on. This is for a Mac and the Mac App Store. And they have lots and lots of topics where you can go out and you can purchase and download apps for your Mac. One such one, and again, from their App Store, it looks very similar. Now, Windows. Let's go to our Windows machine. These are some of my apps that I've already got. With the new Windows, it doesn't have to be in a box. It can be in my list on the left from my Start menu. And so I've got a lot of programs installed on my Windows. This is my screen. How do I find anything on it? I don't. I have a difficult time finding programs. So I went out and I found an app called Fences. And it made my screen look like this. And you say, well, they got all those little bars. What happened to all of the icons? Well, let's take a look. Now, this is a close-up of it. Now you say, well, what's that do? Well, let's take a quick look. They're roll-ups. And by clicking on the title bar, I can then go down and click on any of the programs that are listed in that roll-up. Fences, $10 program, $10 app. Okay, here, going to the Microsoft Store. Again, they have a lot of programs that are available. You can download, you can go out and buy programs, you can download them. It's not, the store isn't the final place. It's not like Macs where you can, or iPhones or iPads where you can only get it from the iTunes store, the Apple store. However, in Windows, you can do them, but you'll see here, there are $70 programs, there are $100 programs. So they're not all cheap, but some are free, some are cheap. There's some that are $10, there's some that are $5 and so on to do various things. And you can go out and find sometimes free or very inexpensive versions of some of the similar programs. Again, when you look in the Windows Store, you've got some information, some description what it's available on. This one's only available on a PC. So other Windows products like a Windows Phone, you can't use it, but you can on a PC. Here's another program, WinZip. You'll see this is available on a PC. It's available for mobile or a hub. And again, what's new in this version, some features, some information about it, in other words, and then down farther, some ratings and some reviews. Portable apps. I want to make sure I talk about portable apps because not all programs have to be installed on a PC. And there's a website called portableapps.com, and you can actually download a platform and then create a USB drive and put some of these type programs. There's over 300 of them, but here's just a few listings of some of the portable apps that are out there. Now, this afternoon, I am going to demonstrate Google, how to do searching with Google, some tips and tricks on how to make the most and find what you're looking for in Google. I'm also going to talk about an app called Flip. I'm also going to talk about Clipmate, another app for a PC that I use all of the time. So with that, I want to say thank you. Have a great day. Have a great conference. And if you have some questions, come see me, and we'll get these slides posted and let you know where they are and how to get to them. Enjoy. Have a great day.